But speaking of going further,
Yes.
you know what that means, Jim. It's time for AEW Dynamite, which took place on TBS.
Nobody knows what that means.
You know what that means.
It's more sounds.
It's time for the tale of Tony Khan, a young, bug-eyed gentleman having a tough time with his hair and his booking.
A young, bug-eyed gentleman in a world that didn't understand him. Why did they do Beach Break from Chicago
before?
The night before the 4th of July is Beach Break? I thought that was like a spring type of thing. And I know they got a beach in Chicago, but those goddamn mobsters' bodies keep washing up on it. You can't really sunbathe out there. And this time it was very humid also. So Beach Break came from Chicago on July the 3rd. And it's Shark Week. Does that make anybody want to go out to the beach?
I think that's the exact thing that prompts them to make this show Beach Break, was they're promoting Shark Week.
Well, yes, but couldn't it be like summertime in Chicago?
It should be.
And it's Shark Week. But do they have sharks in Chicago?
Didn't they do this once, like in the middle? Like it was like AEW Spring Break in Wisconsin. It was just something like, what? What do you do Spring Break in Wisconsin?
it was a polar weather outpost that and they had the announcers dressed in Speedos. So they opened this program with
AEW Dynamite, July 3rd, Chicago.
Are you trying to rush me? I was still talking about the beaches and the weather. And do they have sharks in Chicago? That's another thing I want to know. Somebody needs to get back to me on that. Do we have the number to Bob Luce's people?
Actually, we do.
Well, but are they able to tell us about the sharks in Chicago? All right.
Tell them, Bobo!
Well, and hey, and here, Al's #1 Chicago Italian beef. Num, 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 num. So they opened up the program the night before the 4th of July, the beach breaking in Chicago with the mobsters' bodies. Renee Moxley Good is in the back with Daniel Garcia and Daddy Mac. Now, I know that we can't all be Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? But... And I know they wanted to start telling a story at the beginning of the program and carry it through to the end of the program. But when the first faces you see are Danny Garcia's and Daddy Mac's, when on the other channel you're seeing the Bloodline come to the ring, or you're seeing Drew McIntyre come to the ring. Do you smell what I'm cooking, Brian? Is this the first good visual?
It was even worse what she said, because it makes you wonder what AEW's thinking right now. They introduced him. The first words out of her mouth were, the backbone of AEW.
Yes.
Daniel Garcia.
And apparently they're going to try to make that become a thing. In that case, if I would get a brace, because I'm afraid they're going to develop scoliosis. And Garcia does the promo on Ostrich, and then MJF walks in, thankfully fairly quickly. But now you've got the top guy in the company, again, basically staring these two guys in the face. But MJF's telling him to focus. I'm going to be in your corner tonight if you'll have me. Well, of course, and then Daddy Mac shakes MJF's hand. And again, they're trying to tell a story. I applaud him for that. Garcia's, I'm sorry, lost cause to this point until he grows up, gets older, gets a physique, gets a personality, gets a gimmick, gets a goddamn face that you want to look at. And, anyway, it's at least he'll serve a purpose later on. But do you have any thoughts about the Open before we get into the Owen Hart tournament?
I mean, I agree with you. I think Garcia's okay for a young guy on the card, but they're trying to elevate him and he's not ready. And that's been a story of him and Wheeler Yuta. Tony and certain wrestlers decided these were the guys a few years ago that they were going to do everything they could to elevate and bring up, and it just hasn't taken because they were the
I'm
wrong
sure
guys at that
I'm
moment.
sure they're wonderful guys. I'm sure they're very nice people.
But it's not taking. And he's not the backbone of AEW. And when all of a sudden you introduce someone who isn't the backbone as being the backbone, you're lying to your audience. And I don't know, in terms of his facial reactions, he kind of reminds me, remember Uncle Floyd's puppet Oogie? I don't know if you ever saw Uncle Floyd, the Uncle Floyd show.
No, they had. I think they'd put Uncle Floyd in the big house by the time that I got around
I
there.
don't know, it kind of reminds me of Oogie a little bit. And yeah, I mean, this is setting up other things. And this is basically just coming off MJF establishing himself as their friend a week ago.
Yeah, there's been this long running, bond of respect. Well, that's good. Tony can't, for a person who is so detail oriented, Tony Khan cannot think ahead. Either that, he's never got his balance under him thinking about this week to think ahead. So these things just come up when they're necessary. Oh, I need you guys to have been lifelong friends next week. Anyway, so we go to the Owen Hart tournament. Bryan Danielson versus Pac. And it went about 17 minutes, and then I started watching it. And I'm not kidding.
You know what every Danielson match is going to be. You know there's going to be the slow kicks that he pauses. You know there's going to be the trading strikes. You know there's going to be the spots on the floor. You know there's going to be more kicks. You know there's going to be the submissions. You know he's going to sell either a cervical injury or a concussion because he's doing that now every match. You know what these matches are going to be, and you knew that Pac wasn't going to win.
Well, you didn't have to sum it up like that.
I'm just sick of the Danielson
And
matches.
and hey, and here's the thing: when I go to see the Monkees, I expect them to play Last Train to Clarksville, right? I expect to see that, but I want to see them against somebody that I give a shit about. That there's some issue on the line here. Pac, he comes and he goes. He's here, he's gone, he's wishy, he's washy, and he's been around forever. And it ain't gonna happen because it would have happened by now. So anyway, after 17 minutes, Pac gave him a superplex and got a 2 count. And then he missed a splash off the top, and Danielson hit the big knee. And both of them sold, and then Danielson covered, and Pac got a submission hold and cranked it for a while. And then Danielson rolled through and got the label lock. But Pac rolled back over and got a 2 count. And then Danielson rolled forward and got a 3 count. They were on the mat in the same place, rolling back and forth or in a hold for a minute before the 1, 2, 3. And then it just, what the? I agree that we should attempt to make things look like a shoot, and that we should take some things from the UFC and the MMA world in general. But flat finishes after you've been laying in the same spot for a minute ain't really one of them, is it? He hit him with him. He was going to win anyway. Hit him with a fucking knee. People would have loved it. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Yay. It comes out of nowhere. Holy shit. Wow. It's exciting. Instead of, he's got him. No, he's got him. He got him. I
agree with you. I
for
can't
20 minutes.
I can't argue with you. I've been saying it for a while. I'm sick of the Danielson matches. I don't find them to be creative wrestling masterpieces currently, like other people still may. And, the other thing too is knowing that he had to retire for several years and knowing that he may have, issues with concussions when he's selling, like I said, the cervical stuff, or every match now, Doc Samson has to check his pulse or whatever the fuck's happening there. It's every match now. I'm just not into the Danielson stuff at all.
We're not really rooting for him to give himself further brain damage or paralyze himself. So it doesn't really make you excited.
You want to forget that.
Kind of queasy.
Yeah, you want to forget the whole part of it where they thought he was going to die if he kept wrestling. You kind of want to get past that and just think of him as a wrestler. But But again, I'm not a big fan of his matches, and he does a lot of the same shit that we criticize other people for. He's gotten away with it. But the trading spots and, again, the slow kick, the guy giving him his chest, just, I don't like this shit. I'm sick of it.
I would like curl up in a ball and maybe cover myself if a guy was trying to kick the fuck out of me, but that's just me. So then Mark Briscoe was in the ring all by himself for a promo, and I'm like, thank God. He doesn't have all these idiots that he's usually interacting with around him. And apparently he's the Ring of Honor World Champion, for whatever that means. And he did a great babyface promo like he always does, and people like him. And he declared himself on Team AEW for Blood and Guts, which is, they announced they were going to have this, and now they're stuck with it. And I don't know if it's necessary. I'm pretty sure it's not necessary. And then suddenly Jungle Jackoff hits the ring and attacks him from behind. And what they're doing, again, they're feeding the top twinks all of the baby faces that Tony Khan's booking hasn't totally killed off, because they just like Mark Briscoe because he's great. So this guy fucking beat him up. And they put the Buckaroos together with O'Cody, because people still, not probably as much as they did before, but they still like him. It's diminishing. Or, anybody that they can make, not make popular, but not destroy the popularity of. Now they're starting to feed into these guys' world. And then Kyle O'Reilly came in and made a comeback on Jungle Jackoff, and then O'Cody came in and clotheslined him. And then, at least it's the exciting, like, wrestling arena sound, right? While all this is going on. But then, as soon as the Buckaroos strut out on the stage wearing their finest douchebaggery, you hear the boo, like, oh, fuck, not this shit. Boos. And they have to come out and give Mark Briscoe their little knee lift. And then the Acclaim music plays, and they and Billy Gunn come out. The heels just bail out. That's it. So they just to beat people up that the fans still give a shit about. We got to be subject to their fucking interference in this overall scheme of things. Your thoughts?
So let's talk about how bad the booking is here. Jack Perry returned. It's never really been explained on TV why he's a scapegoat or whose scapegoat he is. Returns, beats up Tony Khan, gets a neck injury from the heels, who are also his executives. His dad comes out there concerned. Next thing we see, he's smiling and having a good time in a neck brace at the the NFL draft. No real good follow-up on TV. Now it's going to be this blood and guts match that no one's demanding in Nashville. Team AEW is going to be random people? Because I like Mark Briscoe, and I think his promos the last few weeks have been a highlight. But he's been used like shit, and he doesn't matter. He's going to be on Team AEW. Presented. Yeah, he's on Team AEW. The Acclaimed, are they going to be on Team AEW? Because that doesn't give you a lot of hope for this blood and guts match. No disrespect to them, but it should be big star Team AEW. When it was Team WCW, it was Luger and Sting and Randy Savage, the biggest guys we have to fight the NWO.
But maybe that's the wrong Team AEW, because half the people on the other team are actually vice presidents of AEW.
Who, by the way, let's go back to the bad booking, who are still doing whatever they want. They had Taz removed from the building on this show, even though Tony's established he's in the back. He's in the back running things, and he's got Christopher Daniels as his stooge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniels is there too. They're all there.
This whole thing has been booked so bad. Look at everything with WWE and the Bloodline over the last 3 months, 4 months, and then look at everything with AEW and the Bloodline over the last 3 months, 4 months. With Tony Khan getting beat up by his highly paid, the highest paid tag team in wrestling history, beat up the billionaire owner of the company, and no one gives a fuck. No one gives a shit. The only way people could care less is if Sasha Banks was in this. too. No one gives a shit about any of this. And they're going to be in Nashville. Watch, Tony should make an offer for that Heckel girl. She lives in Nashville. She'll be at the fucking pay-per-view. Let her be on Team AEW, because you spit all over us, Tony, with this bad booking. Thank you. You know what that means. Back to Jim.
Back to G. You know what that means. Well, that means more comedy with Tony Storm and her crew of merry misfits. They just hug and do things in the back. And then Chris Statlander wrestled Willow, and the match started on the stage. Now the girls' matches start on the stage and continue to ringside. They do take suplexes on the floor, and then the referee calls for the bell to start the match.
Well, these two, there is at least an issue with these two. They've been building up the thing.
But Jesus
Maybe, you know what?
Christ.
Everyone focused on everything else. Statlander and Willow being in a feud may make the most sense out of everything they've booked in the AEW women's division, even though there are still problems with it. It's the one thing that makes a little bit of sense.
And we like Statlander, and Willow has done well.
And she's over. Willow got herself over with those fans. It wasn't the booking.
Then maybe they should do something different than normal on an AEW television show and actually get in the ring and ring the bell and start the match there. Because that way it would stand out as something completely radically different. But Chris got Stokely's chain and swung it, and Willow moved and rolled her up 1, 2, 3. So poor Chris Statlander can't buy a win if she had a fistful of 50s. And then apparently I have heard that Jeff Jarrett did a really good promo talking about what Owen Hart meant to him. They were friends, obviously. He was there that night in Kansas City and was broken up about it. And I guess he did a really good promo that was on the internet, and they may have excerpted it for the B show or the C show. But here what they did is they had Jeff just walk off without making any comment, and Jay Lethal did the promo for him. And that was a foreshadowing of what was going to come later on in the tournament match, which we'll discuss when we get there. But talking about the booking, we'll be back on that in a second. And let's get to the high point. One of the high points. There was actually two this week. One of the high points of this show, Britt Baker. Dr. Britt, she's back. Britt Baker is back. More alliteration is needed. Hopefully they won't sell a t-shirt of her with a black eye this time or whatever. But she did the live in-ring promo explaining her absence, what exactly her problem has been. The rumors were she was injured. And she was, at some points. But she told the story that she started feeling sick and vision blurry and spent the week in the hospital with what they diagnosed as a mini stroke. And, she was susceptible and had to stay home to get well and blah, 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 which you can understand. And you got to think, not only for her and Adam Cole being not only their young age and athletes, and they're not people with bad habits, and they got the shittiest run of fucking health luck I've ever seen. But anyway, she did a great promo where she told them for real what had happened to her, and you could be real here. It wasn't exposing the wrestling business. Talk about her real medical condition that kept her away, and she was nervous when she came back. Would anybody give a damn? And, you've all felt the fear of rejection. At this point, I'm like, what is this, Dr. Phil? But for this audience, apparently they do fear rejection instead of feeding on it like a fucking rabid beast like I do. But what a baby face. She said, when I needed you, you welcomed me back with open arms, and I'm one of you. And more motivational talk, right? And they listened to her. I gather the younger generation likes to talk about their problems with anybody that will listen. That's another thing I've learned from being around people the last few years.
Well, that's true of the younger generation, but it's especially true of younger wrestlers.
Yes, more often than not, it is also a younger wrestler. But anyway, it was a great babyface promo. And then, much like as Jerry Jarrett used to say, tell them the truth as long as you can. And then when you tie it into your business and start working, they don't know where you're leaving off. She mentioned the new female face of AEW and got a little bit sarcastic about Mercedes and her piped in CEO chants and how hard she's worked since Britt's been gone and blah, blah, blah. And the people started getting with it. And then on the screen appears an SUV with the horn honking. Have we gone too far, Brian? With the idea that these big stars show up for a live television show like 45 minutes before it's over with?
I mean, maybe. I mean, it's also interesting. I guess she was watching the monitor or watching in her car and said, okay, pull up now. But the more ridiculous thing was the camera's filming the car pull up because the camera happens to be there in the back. And then it goes to a tight shot, one camera, of her feet coming out of the car. It's one thing if you start with that.
You saw the zoom.
Yeah, but it's one thing if you start with that. Like, oh, who is it? You can't go to that once you have established a wide shot.
Yes, I was hoping you, because apparently they only had one camera out there and somebody had told the guy, we want the shot when the door opens, it's only the feet stepping out, so we don't know who it is. Right? For the people who didn't see this, I'm trying to describe it. Apparently that was an instruction he'd been given, but apparently also, since he's the only camera, he had to shoot the goddamn SUV pulling up, honking the horn. And what are you going to do? Zoom in on the wheels? And we don't know what the SUV model, make a number, right? So he shoots the SUV, pulls up, and then as the door starts to open, there's a quick zoom to the bottom of for no apparent reason, otherwise than I hope somebody's feet come out. If they don't, if I've just done this on my own and nobody steps out, I'm going to look like an idiot. Oh, there's some feet.
Oh, they came out of the sunroof. I'm an idiot.
Yes, yeah. That's the thing. If they'd have popped up out of the sunroof, you'd have heard a voice. I'm here. But it's just the other fucking guys across the street, the WWE, are doing fucking Hollywood cinema. And these guys are doing cable access. So then she gets out. Old Mercedes moan, and the fans boo. They've got the arena audio. And the fans boo, and of course, who's there to meet her but the Buckaroos? And they hug her and put her over and make over and everything, because now that the people are booing the shit out of Mercedes because they just really don't like her, the Buckaroos want to be as close to her as possible to sap some of the booze off. Oh, see, Tony, they're really booing. So anyway, and then they immediately, and this is the 9 o'clock hour, they go back to the ring, but the crew starts bringing out the bags and bouquets of balloons for the celebration for Mercedes's title win. She won another belt from the young lady from Mexico. And then while Britt's standing there, she just does her entrance, Mercedes, and does the pole dance shimmy. And has the migraine, and Britt is staring at her. And I wrote at that point, this may be the only chance they have or ever will have to get any money out of Mercedes Moan whatsoever. And then, as soon as she starts talking, how did you describe it, Brian? It goes back to performance. It goes back to, oh, now we're working again, from this heartfelt promo we got that Britt Baker got over as a babyface with. Now it's back to this scripted hoo-ha that they would do on Raw with a lot better producers and directors. How do you phrase it?
I don't remember if I had a specific phrase for it.
You had a specific phrase, but they went back to WWE-ish style of doing something, but it was a nattier phrase than that. But the fans had a natty little phrase, "Shut the fuck up."
And there
And
lies
they
the problem. Britt Baker, this is probably like her best promo, especially in front of a live audience. And she was nervous, but she had something to say. Sonny King rule, good promo.
yeah.
Mercedes Moné, every single thing she has done, it's the same dance, it's the same fakery, and if she gets on the mic, you don't believe anything she says. Completely insincere. And when you see her do interviews, I saw one the other day, she's doing it in that character, in that voice, talking about how she's the highest paid woman in wrestling history, and you're like, damn, you just don't draw or bring any people into the building or cause people to really care. And the big exposure is going to be her against someone like Britt Baker, who the AEW fans chose. They made her a heel. She was there from the very beginning, like she said here. So it's going to be really interesting. The matches may not be your thing, but watching how everything plays out with Mercedes Moné over the next year is going to be really interesting.
I'm going to watch her and Britt. This will be interesting. And they told each other off a little bit. Britt told her off, and the fans loved it. And Mercedes did another catchphrase, and they stared at each other. But they're going to wrestle it all in. And at least they've realized that Mercedes is a heel. And they're just, okay, because she's a phony personality. Her matches haven't been that great. Her promos are bleh. And she's got that annoying dance and the piped-in CEO. I don't know, and I've said this from the start, how they figured. Once I saw her, I said, this is going to be a babyface?
And it's the whole carpetbagger situation. She came in, immediately got 2 belts, and she's like the face of the company for the women.
Well, but regardless, we don't have to get sexist or anything. What she does with her carpet, whether it matches the drapes or not, it's entirely up to her.
That wasn't what I meant. All In is Sunday, August 27th. That's almost 2 months of build for this match. What do you think?
Well, in that case, they got plenty of time to make the carpet match the drapes. They could remodel the whole house. I mean, I want to see the match because I want to see the crowd response, because especially I think at the big show, they will boo Mercedes out of the arena and Britt Baker's going to be over unless the intervening 7 weeks of TV, destroys that and dulls it to where people don't care by then. Right now, I think everybody wants to see it. And that's why this may be their chance to get money out of Mercedes, because after this, because they don't want to see her against people. I think they're booing because she sucks. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, time will tell.
And it's your show.
Was that the end of Dynamite?
But it's my review, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. What are you transitioning to here, sir?
I don't know. Well, I didn't know where we were going.
You know what that means? Jim has lost his train of thought. Well,
would you like to go on with this television program?
I mean, honestly, no, but I mean, we've started it.
We're duty bound. We got to get to the other good part. It won't take long now, as I'm a little more direct to go to. Do you understand what's going on now? With Renee was in the back with Will Ostrich and Kyle Felcher, and Don Fallis walks in, the top heel manager, the evil. Remember, he started out that way, and now he just kind of wanders around and talks about people. But the new top babyface, Will Ostrich, apologizes to the top heel manager. But it's my fault. I hit the referee. I couldn't do the Tiger Driver. I'm not that guy anymore. He thanks the heel manager for all he's done for him, but he wants out of the Fallis family. And Don says, I'm so proud of you, and I'm happy to do you the favor, and hugs him. And that is the way that the top babyface leaves the top heel manager's group, by asking in a backstage pre-tape while apologizing to him and praising him. And the manager says, "Sure, kid, I love you. No problem." What world do these people, what wrestling have they been watching?
I'm sure that's not the end of it. Now he's going to do something to turn on Ospreay, probably with Felcher helping or Fletcher
Well,
helping him.
goddamn it, already Ostrich looks like a fucking idiot apologizing to the. I'm sorry I couldn't use the screwdriver you gave me. I couldn't do the tiger driver and break the guy's neck. Thank you for all you've done for me, you evil sociopath. But I'd just like to leave the family that nobody's ever explained why he was in to begin with. It's all been caca. It's nonsense. It's blithering gibberish. Have I made enough similes there?
And again, they teased the thing with Fletcher in the back. He's friends with Ospreay, but when Callis left, he said, "Come on, Kyle." And Kyle gave a sad look to his friend and left.
Yeah. Because you know what also about Kyle? Kyle's mom is a bitch.
Excuse me?
Kyle's mom is a bitch. She's a big fat bitch. She's a big fat bitch. Oh, yes, she is. She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a bitch to all the boys and girls.
That's an old school South Park hit.
There you go, and it still rings true.
All right, and this certainly...
Kyle's mom is a bitch.
All right.
You know what that means? It's time to skip over.
Well,
what?
You know what that actually means? Hold on.
Of course, how could I have missed that?
You didn't hear it correctly.
Well, now it's all the more clear to me. It's crystal clear.
Jim, we all know what that signifies. It is now time to tell everyone what Kyle Fletcher could have been doing. Maybe the reason he looked so weird in the back was, without anyone knowing, he had his Raycon earbuds in his ear and he's listening to Radiohead.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't want anybody to know, some like Adam and Eve, they make a product that you can insert and you can operate it with remote controls and nobody knows that but that's a completely different thing than the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds. But they will still be in your ears and nobody will notice unless they come up and, well, kind of grab your head and turn it sideways to the light and stare into your ear. And when people do that to me on the street, I usually take exception to it. Just last week, this woman came up, grabbed my head, turned my head to the side, and started staring in my ear. And I said, "Ma'am, why are you staring in my ear?" And she said, "Well, your asshole was covered." But nevertheless, that proves my point. So you see what I'm saying? That the everyday earbuds are easy to disguise so you can listen to what you want to listen to. Say your boss is telling you what to do. You don't need to hear that shit. Just do what you want to do. Especially if you work for Tony Khan. Drown him out with the everyday wireless earbuds. Let's say oncoming traffic on the interstate, they're blaring their horns, they're making noise, and you're just riding your bicycle right down the right-hand lane in the slow lane. So you want to block out that oncoming traffic noise. Raycon everyday wireless earbuds. Folks, the 32-hour battery life, some people may not have that much longer to live. This could be a boon to the rest of your life. Also, the quick charging function, boom. As long as you don't touch it while it's quick charging, because there's a lot of current going through that thing, it could kill most cattle. The ergonomic design to comfortably fit the widest range of ears, and let's say you're lobeless. These don't depend entirely on a lobe. You can get a special adjustment, kind of like the extension on a seatbelt on an airplane, and it's got something to loop over the top of your ear and go back around to the other side if you don't have a lobe to help keep these things in place and immobile. And that's what the optimized gel tips, you can put a little Elmer's glue on those. They won't come out for anything. And, of course, the regular features.
No, do not. Let me stop you right there. Do not put any glue on these. That's a bad idea.
Well, only if you're lobeless.
No, there's no only. Don't use glue.
The lobeless community is fully aware of exactly what they can do and what their tolerance to Elmer's glue is.
We're not going to focus on the lobeless community. We're going to focus on the ear canal and the earbuds from Raycons. No glue needed. Well, that's one of the great things about them.
If you're part of the lobeless community, but if you're part of the overall canal community, you may be unaware of the limits of what you can put in your ear, but the everyday earbuds are definitely on the approved list. And they got the customizable sound styles, the active noise cancellation. You can just cancel that noise right, boom. As a matter of fact, if somebody's talking to you like your wife or your significant other or a nagging neighbor or whatever, you hit that button, boom. They've lost their voice completely. They can't utter a peep until you hit. It's like a Twilight Zone episode. It really is. You ought to see them trying to grip their throat and make the wide eyes as they realize they can't make any noise. It's just a silent scream emanating from their tortured, contorted faces as they almost have a heart attack in complete shock.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's not how Raycon will affect you. Think more of like the Happy Twilight Zone episodes, like Casey, the robotic baseball player. And he could throw fastballs. And Fastball was a band, and you could listen to lots of bands and lots of music with Raycon.
Oh, you brought it right back around. So don't worry about that active noise cancellation, folks. And remember, if you want, but check.
Remember that. Always remember that.
If you've been wanting to check out.
If you want to check out or check in, remember that.
The roaches, they can check in, but they can't check out. But if you've been wanting to check out Raycons, there truly is no better time than right now, except for 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago would have been better. We wouldn't have to go through this. Their upgraded model will blow you away. Thankfully, they put away on a second line, but I was able to see that anyway. But they upgraded if it'll blow you. But nevertheless, you're going to ask yourself, why? Oh, you didn't check them out sooner. And Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee. So what are you waiting for? You can't be truly happy until Raycon guarantees it. They guarantee your happiness in life. It may mean them coming and removing your wife or getting you a new house or another job or whatever, but they guarantee your happiness.
They guarantee happiness with their earbuds.
Well, they guarantee happiness with the earbuds. Yes, they do. As soon as you put them in, your earbuds will say, Raycon guarantees your happiness. And it's kind of like auto-suggestion, and then you'll be happy. Right now, go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE today, and you're going to get 15% off your Raycon order and free shipping. Not a penny will they charge you to bring these things to your location, where you have to have a legitimate address, folks. They don't do street corner drop-offs anymore. That got a little dodgy after a while.
They never did those.
You mean it wasn't official Raycon people that were handing me those things? No wonder that other shit was in the box. Anyway, you're going to get 15% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/JCE.
All right, well, Jim. You know what that long noise means. The long episode of Dynamite's not over yet.
It continues. There was Jericho, and basically because Taz clapped and cheered for Jericho losing the match last week when Hook stole his finish, the Buckaroos, the Lollipop Guild, have told Chris Jericho that Taz is relieved of his announcing duties and he must leave the arena. And security took his oath. The only announcer we might want to listen to has been removed from the premises.
It was a big exposure, I have to say, for the rest of the show, just how inept these commentators are. Excalibur is a piss-poor communicator and a mark announcer, and Tony Schiavone is as useless as anyone has ever been on a microphone. Plus, don't ever forget, he is the voice of the failure of WCW in a lot of ways. This was atrocious, these two on commentary together.
I'm hoping that Taz in the previous break said, you know what, my hemorrhoids are flaring up. Can you get me out of here? Because also there was no reason. There's no reason.
Where's Tony Khan?
Well, yeah, you know, he's in the back. He just won't come out and show his face when something like this goes on.
If you're Taz and you're removed from the building, do you say anything to Tony as you're being dragged past Gorilla?
Good. Yeah. Well, no, because you know that if you do, he will fire you because he's feared for his life.
I didn't say lunge at him. I said just say something.
Well, it's the same thing.
Well, what one? I guess he did call that a lunge. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. If you get a finger pointed in your face with some vehemence while you're being told you're a fucking idiot, that's a lunge.
We'll find out
But
what
yeah,
happened.
Taz had to go past Tony.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
Anyway,
the
so-
heels and the babyface authority figures act independent of each other for no reason. Shivani's still making, or Excalibur's making announcements on behalf of Tony Khan. Daniels is there on behalf of Tony Khan. Jericho went to the Bucks and got to do something to change the broadcast. How? Why?
It's almost like that, things are chaotic and disorganized behind the scenes, much as some of the recent AEW departees have commented.
We'll mention that maybe in a little while, but we're going to go now to the segment Taz Gone.
Yes, Joe, Hook, and Shapoopy beat Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Tia Leone with triple sleepers, and they fixed it where I can't watch Samoa Joe now. And then Big Bill and Brian Keith hit the ring with chairs and stopped the baby faces, Joe and Hook and Shapoopy. But did you know Brian Keith was wearing the sling on his arm that has allegedly been bad that took him out of the 6-man tag match at Forbidden Door. And he comes in with the sling trying to hit him with the chair from behind, but nobody was selling it because they couldn't feel it. And he would like hit one guy in the like upper back thigh or whatever, like boo. And then he pulled the sling off and was using the arm fine. And so did they just take him out of the Forbidden Door to get another forbidden refugee from Guatemala, Jeff Cobb, in the match?
I don't know. Good question. Jeff Cobb is not from Guatemala, by the way. I think he's from California.
Well, I'm just saying he's from the Forbidden Door because he's from New Japan. He comes in just to do a job once a year, sort of like Roughhouse Fargo, but he didn't do no jobs. But anyway, Brian Keith pulls the sling off. They get sloppy heat on the baby faces. Jericho gets in and hits Hook with a set of knucks, and the fans chant, "Please retire." And then they slide a table in. It goes on forever. Nobody tries to help. It's just by the rote numbers. And then Big Bill puts Hook through the table. Why did they have a big giant beatdown about 30 minutes before they were going to end the goddamn program with a big giant beatdown? That's just a thought I had.
I think people need to check out this match for Jericho on commentary. Unbearable isn't strong enough.
I didn't hear it. I couldn't bear it.
He's come up with something to make himself as insufferable. The gimmick is I'm as insufferable as imaginable. As if that's something people want to see more of. People just want him to go away. He's fighting it. He's dragging other people down with him. But this is the single worst gimmick or thing he's done in his career. And he has done a world of stupid in just the last 5 years. This is the most counterproductive, garbage nonsense. Talk about another guy talking fake on the show. Not good. This was so bad. The commentary alone was awful.
Well, another...
And the Gardeners are here. They just got here, so they're going to be bothering me over here now.
Now, this is a goddamn holiday weekend. How dare they?
That's why they didn't come yesterday.
Well, how dare they garden on a holiday weekend when people are... Well, you're not having any outdoor function. You're sitting here talking to us.
No, but we do have some functions happening this weekend. But for the record, it is...
Are you functional this weekend?
It is hot. There's been rain. It's hot and sticky. We need someone to take care of this grass before it gets hotter and stickier.
Well, if it's rain, then it's wet. It's just going to clump up, and they're going to make tracks.
Yeah, they do that. These fucking lazy guys. I got to talk.
Yeah, see that now our true feelings come out.
When you brought up the wet grass, you brought back a bad memory.
Yep. See that, and my mother used to make me eat wet grass when I was a kid.
What?
Well, it was better than trying to eat that dry shit. Anyway, the next match was Jeff Jarrett versus our returning champion of the empty-headed dipshit category. Hangnail Adam Page is back from whatever the family emergency was that he took 3 months off for, that was recently described by, I believe, Uncle Dave as nothing serious. What if I've got a goddamn callus on my foot, can I go home for 3 months and commiserate with my family about it around here?
In AEW, you could fly to Bulgaria, sure.
Well, anyway, this was the Owen Hart tournament. As we mentioned earlier in the program, Jeff Jarrett has the only one with a connection to Owen Hart, so he would be the sentimental favorite, even though he's been the biggest obnoxious heel with the big heel group of Sanjay and Jay Lethal and the giant pinhead and the heat-seeking missile herself, Karen Jarrett. But and of course, Paige is the last we saw a baby face that had his children terrorized and etc.
Well, I don't know about that, actually. When we last saw him, he was kind of more heelish, and Swerve was the babyface.
Well, that's only because the people were cheering for Swerve because they liked him, whereas Paige is boring and dreary and nobody gave a shit. But he wasn't actually working like a heel or in a heel position. Now he came out, and now he's pissed off, and he's working like a heel, and he's kicking the shit out of Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff is selling like a babyface. Even though nothing has happened to go in this direction besides Jeff doing a promo about his friend Owen, and we hadn't seen Paige in 3 months. And Paige is bashing Jeff's head into the fucking stairs over and over. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I was wondering, I watched this because I thought if anybody can get something entertaining out of Paige, it's Jeff Jarrett. But I didn't realize they were going to completely do a goddamn double turn to get there. But then when they came back from the break, there's Jeff fighting from underneath. The fans are cheering Jeff's punches on the 1-2. And Paige bites Jeff's face. And Jeff gives Paige the stroke on the apron. The people cheer. And then Jeff makes a comeback with the only good-looking punches on the whole show. And back and forth, blah, blah, blah. They did a good... Jeff foiled the dead eye and got the sharpshooter. The place went crazy. Paige got the ropes and got booed. And then finally, Paige hits the buckshot and another dead eye. And what a 1, 2, 3. So again, Jeff, he can get what is needed out of anybody in any amount of time or whatever and keep it moving. But now we're gonna find out here as we go to the back. I'll skip ahead one thing and come back to it because it didn't make any sense to put it there either on the show, but they go to the back with Paige and Renee, and he's still pissed off. And she's like, was that level of aggression necessary? And the Buckaroos come in, Maddie and Nikki, and they're hugging him and they're celebrating. And hey, you keep scratching our back and I'll scratch yours, and blah, whatever. We need a fifth guy for blood and guts. And apparently Paige has, since he's been off, has been taking one of those correspondence courses from the Acme Acting Company, because now he's got another demeanor. He snatched up Maddie. And he's growling and he's snarling, I'm not your puppet anymore. I don't need any of your bullshit games. Snarl, snarl. Growl, growl. And he shoved Nikki and he walked off. So where the fuck is this going now?
Team AEW.
But then why is he working like a fucking heel against Jeff Jarrett, who has nothing to do with this goddamn what?
Well, the other problem too is I heard, like you did, a lot of people complimenting the Jeff Jarrett interview package that was on social media and then a clip version on Collision or whatever. And there's a story there. Maybe it should have played out in Calgary instead of here, where it would have meant more. You would have been able to generate more emotion. Instead, it's like everything with AEW. How many segments on Dynamite are spent promoting things on the shows with the smaller audiences that no one's going to watch? They did something on that show that no one's watching to promote something on this show, and it's a natural story. It's like, it's not an exact thing, but Pillman Jr. When you had the chance and there was a story there to be exploited, for lack of a better term, they dropped the ball. Jeff Jarrett may have been more interesting in this because he seemed like a real person, not a wrestling character, than in anything else. And it's now over. Now I guess they'll go back to just being a wacky stable with a giant. I really don't know. But maybe this should have played out in Calgary for the Owen Hart finals as opposed to here.
But then it wouldn't have been an all friends final because all of the friends are figured in. But what is the snarling and the growling and I'm not your puppet anymore? But I was also mad at Jeff Jarrett.
Not everyone's an actor. Not everyone can master having a character in wrestling. And that's always been his biggest problem. And how did they conquer that? Early on, they made him a sad drunk. And he was that for a few years where he was unreliable or showing up with a drink to the ring. And then he got past that, conquered alcoholism, I guess. And then he just gets angry at times for no good reason other than CM Punk embarrassed him. I really don't know. So no, I think he's someone who has the right friends and someone who has a look at times and someone who could do stuff in the ring, but he's got no ability to really come up with a good character or good promos or anything. It just always. Well,
that's the thing. Remember, at one point, cowboy shit for the fans chanting it. That was over, and he go, "Let's do some cowboy shit." And then he came out wearing fucking skinny jeans with butterflies on them, like all cowboys do.
But you see, there's the problem. What was cowboy shit? That was the whole joke.
He didn't have any cowboy shit.
Yeah, he's a guy from Virginia who knows nothing about being a hangman or a cowboy. That's why he said, I'm going to do cowboy shit, because he doesn't even know what it is. He knows less about it than I do. And I watch rodeo on CBS. Seriously, that's what it was. It wasn't I'm a cowboy, I do cowboy shit. It was, I have no idea what fucking cowboys do. I do cowboy shit.
I watched The Rifleman, so I know more than both of you. But that's, and he started off with the blonde hair, and he was kind of, a tan matinee idol for the young ladies, if they had any in the crowd that weren't being brought there by their male counterparts. And now he's looking more like a 40-year-old. He looks like Silas Young. Remember him in Ring of Honor from Chicago? His gimmick was the last real man. So he was in his 40s with a lot of body hair and an unkempt fucking appearance. That's what this guy looks like now. Maybe, you know what? Punk didn't only snatch his neck, he snatched his goddamn spirit and will to live.
You could say that about the whole company.
And in the middle of those two things that we just talked about, I must go back here a second, because in the middle of Paige being a heel in the ring and Paige coming and yelling at everybody, they had gone to backstage with Hook and the trainer and it was like a 30-second segment out of nowhere. As soon as they go back to this shot, instantly Big Bill and Brian Keith burst in and jumped on Hook and started hammering him. And then Jericho threw a fireball in his face. And they went to break. That was a break spot for 30 seconds. He set the guy's face on fire. Let's make sure we get that in. Okay, boom, done. We're over. Okay, can't grieve forever. Let's move on. What? If you're setting people on fire in backstage pre-tapes, don't you think you're burning through your repertoire a little too quick?
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to the main event so we can get past the main event. And we knew something was going to happen. We didn't exactly know what, but the flavor of it, obviously, you could smell it from last week. And I was afraid with the people involved that regardless of how it happened, MJF might get some on him just because of the others. But I think he managed to avoid getting any of the dreck on him necessarily in this instance. But the match is Garcia against Ostrich for the Intercontinental title that Ostrich gave him, but MJF has earlier said, kid, I want to be in your corner. And they set this up from the start of the show. I guess the question was, and we don't know yet because they haven't because of the holiday, the ratings are not out yet. But would they hang on for 2 hours through the rest of this program to see what MJF was going to do? I think that's the cliffhanger that we're going to, or would they leave and come back?
And by the way, and I apologize for the helicopters behind me, but by the way, this was also the longest overrun I believe they've ever had. It was a full 15 minutes.
It seemed like it took a while, yes. But anyway, they had a match, and the match between Garcia and Ostrich, that may be the story for Tony's Uncle Ding. But everybody just wanted to see what MJF was going to do, and how this was going to impact because they're all nominally baby faces. Again, they love Will. He's just got there. They built up Garcia as an honorable young man, so no reason to dislike him, and MJF's the star of the show. So it's, again, they worked themselves in a situation where everybody's a babyface, and what do you do? In this case, at least it worked out at the end. So they had a nice match. Garcia just needs a physique, a gimmick, a personality, some size, and age. Otherwise, Natty's got everything. And, so they have the match, and then by the time that it's halfway over with, you've got Will is getting heat on Garcia. And the fans are starting to cheer Garcia because they put him in the sympathetic underdog position. But now I understand if you were pushing somebody that was going to get over and be in the main event fucking echelon, that's what you would do. And apparently they think that's going to be Garcia. The problem is what they're doing is they're burying the newest $1 million acquisition by having people cheer his opponent, who they may put him in main events, but he ain't going to sell the tickets to be there. It's not going to work right now. He's a darling of the indie crowd, which means you've left out everything that will make him a star, and you're focusing on whether he can do the wrist locks. So the bland lump of clay kicked the shit out of the greatest wrestler in the world. But then the greatest wrestler in the world would recover instantly and kick the shit out of the bland lump of clay. So we had that going. And then did you like when Will was a flat-out heel kicking Garcia in the face and then bent over and offered the guy a free kick at his head? Go ahead, just kick me once, mate. It won't hurt. There's nothing here. And instead, now, Will has been kicking Garcia in the head over and over. And then Will gives Garcia a chance to kick him in the head. And what does he do? He gets up and humps his face. Do you remember when Val Venus humped Steve Austin's face, Brian, on Raw?
I don't think that ever happened, no.
No. So at that point, I skipped to the finish because I was tired of tolerating these children and their foolishness. And so basically, Garcia gives Ostrich a pile driver. It gets a 2 count on it. And then as they're rolling up, MJF puts the diamond ring on the mat and tells Garcia, "Here, Garcia, get it." And Garcia picks it up, and Will rolls him up from behind, and they do about 4 or 5 different roll-ups back and forth, and then Garcia gets up and gives MJF the ring back. It's like he's thinking about, no, I can't. They didn't need the 4 or 5 roll-ups, but they can't help themselves. All he needed to do was pick the fucking ring up and be conflicted. And that was what took his eye off the ball. But nevertheless, 4 or 5 roll-ups, he gets up, he gives MJF the ring back, and he turns and eats an elbow 1, 2, 3. And you see this constantly these days, but this was done better than most of the time, where they go, "Oh, I'm so torn. Should I do something to this other guy? Stab him with a screwdriver or give him the high colonic or whatever?" So anyway, it was done well. And then Garcia was in the corner And this is the one thing. Brian, did you see? Daniel Garcia is sitting in the corner of the ring and he is crying tears. And Will is giving him a pep talk and then leaves, and Garcia is still. What kind of babyface cries when he loses a match? Cry when you win, right? Your family's there, you got the title off, but crying over losing a match. He's a 25-year-old man. What the fuck was that about? Why would
I don't know, and it wasn't a world title match. It was a continental title or whatever this is.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're a 25-year-old man and you're crying over losing a wrestling match and you're supposed to be a babe. That's a heel thing. George Crybaby Cannon made a living out of that. But a babyface crying? What kind of fucking simpering little pussy are you? That's another reason why this guy ain't gonna get over. Can you see Steve Austin crying? Triple H just beat me with a sledgehammer. Boo-hoo. But anyway, we get to the meat of the matter. MJF picks him up and raises his hand and hugs him and tells him it's okay and then kicks him in the balls. And then he puts the ring on, and here comes Daddy Mac and jumps up and boom, he nails Daddy Mac with the ring and nails Garcia with the ring and spits at the crowd, and Garcia's bleeding and Daddy Mac is bleeding. And here comes the security and he nails them with the fucking ring too and gets more heat on Garcia. And at least we got somebody with some aggression. And he's jumping all over the place, kicking the shit out of people. And he's pissed off and he's mad. And he's had all he can stands and he can't stands no more. And then, I don't know if this was necessary, but he gives Garcia the tombstone pile driver off the second turnbuckle. I guess it is because even the mascot won't sell one just in the ring anymore. And here comes Christopher Daniels and the rest of the agents and the referees. Daniels has established his presence. Tony Khan has announced decisions earlier in the night through the announcers. But when the Buckaroos want to run roughshod, they're in the bathroom. But so anyway, everybody's there. MJF pushes them away. Finally, Willie Boy comes out. And MJF says, come on, and then bails out and says, fuck all y'all, and goes through the crowd and attempts to incite general mayhem and some type of riot. And they get the EMT crew and the doctor and everybody and put Garcia on a backboard. The backbone, I should say, goes on a backboard. So that ought to be a t-shirt, Brian, for MJF. I put the backbone on a backboard. But that way it had a lot more life and a lot more energy, and the people cared about it a lot more than most of the shit you see on the program, because I think down deep, even that they know MJF needs to be a heel. That this other stuff wasn't working. It was just a placeholder thing because he was the most popular guy in the company and it wasn't even close, and he had nobody on his level to work with. Are you speaking on mute?
No, I was waiting for the gardeners to disappear, but they don't seem to want to leave. But Jim, that means it's time for Brian's thoughts. This is what was needed. It was cathartic in a way to watch this. We need heel MJF. As soon as he hit him in the balls, it was like a breath of fresh air. That's the MJF we know and love.
Yes.
It went pretty far. My biggest issue is that this is all being done with Daniel Garcia.
Well, but I mean, it's being done with Willie Boy. That's where they're good.
It's being done with the idea, I think, of elevating Garcia, along with the idea of it's building up MJF and Ospreay. It's not for Garcia to disappear. It's for him to show back up on TV, and eventually he's going to want to get MJF.
I got the idea that Garcia was just the
MacGuffin?
the tool, the MacGuffin, if you will, to give, because Where did this come from out of nowhere? MJF challenging Garcia, and then Osprey coming in and upstaging MJF's challenge. It's MJF and it's Osprey. Garcia is just a ancillary player in this whole evolving situation.
Yeah, by the way, everyone thought he would probably win the world title because they didn't think they would do the match again at Wembley, but we'll see. Swerve won. No Swerve. Where's Swerve on the show? The world champion.
Oh, well, Tony has played with him a lot lately. He put him back in the chest so he can play with some of the new guys that, that he's collected that he hadn't got a chance to get a grip on as much lately.
The one thing that could help AEW a lot right now is a great heel MJF run. So let's hope this is the beginning of that. There was a lot of promise at the end of AEW. We'll see how many people were still there. Again, it was in the middle of a 15-minute overrun. It was the very end of the 15-minute overrun. But this is what is needed. MJF returning back to who he should be. And speaking of who people should be, we should be talking about ratings, Jim.
Yes, we should.
But they're not in. So what we're going to do is travel through time, and we're going to go to a point in the future when the ratings are in. Is that okay with you?
Oh, I thought I was waiting for the goddamn chorus to come in from the organ, from your pipe organ.
No, I was asking for your opinion, your thoughts. I care about your opinions.
Do you care about what I think?
Of course.
Well, in that case, no, fuck the ratings. Let's just move on with the show.
All right, we'll be right back.
With the ratings.
With ratings and more.
You know what that means.